Good day again. From the esteemed Glengarry County, I'm Fred Cappuccino. Today's story on this July 3rd is about red-haired Pierre, the second child born to us, as recorded in Chapter 5 of that fantastic book, Bonnie and Her 21 Children. But before we get to Pierre, the Childhaven story is about Bonnie the Healer, as found in Bonnie Lore in the February 2009 newsletter. For years on and off, I had been suffering pain in my lower back. Often on Sundays, as I finished preaching a sermon, I could hardly remain standing to greet the people after the service. Bonnie didn't have much sympathy. "Find out about it and fix it," she said. I went to our wonderful local practitioner, the late Dr. Wadia. He put me through a battery of blood tests, x-rays, and ingesting barium sulfate, swinging around strapped to a machine. After all this torture, Dr. Wadia said, "The tests don't show anything, Fred. I can't do anything for you. You're just getting old." I was 48. "I'll give you something for the pain. You'll learn to live with it." I decided against painkillers. The pain was relieved by sitting or lying down. Later on, while living in India, I suffered some severely painful attacks. Bonnie searched through the Encyclopedia of Common Diseases, a large tome printed by Rodale Press in 1976. She found that the gluten in wheat gives some people an allergic reaction, something like arthritic pain. I stopped eating wheat, and after 3 days, the pain was gone entirely. It seems that I can tolerate a limited amount of wheat, but if my back pain starts up, I just cut down on bread and spaghetti and apple pie, and the pain is gone. Were it not for Bonnie's medical research, I might be doubled up in a chronic care hospital by this time. And now for the story of the birth of Pierre, the second child born to us. He is now in his 50s and is recovering out in Seattle from a serious bout of leukemia. It looks as if he will have a complete recovery, thankfully. The year was 1958. Bonnie was doing all the exercises necessary to deliver our second baby without anesthesia. Her obstetrician was Dr. Bailey. All the pregnant ministers' wives used to go to him. His father was my much older colleague, a Methodist minister. When Bonnie arrived at the hospital, Dr. Bailey noticed an irregular heartbeat. He assured her, "Everything is all right, I don't expect any problem, and we'll keep a close watch. Emergency equipment is ready across the hall to get the baby out in a hurry if we have to, but I don't think we'll need it." Then he said, "Yours is such an unusual case. I'd like your permission to allow the student nurses to learn something from it. Could they come in and see you?" Bonnie agreed. One should be willing to promote scientific research. In they came. Each one stood over Bonnie, smiled, and said hi, and held the stethoscope to Bonnie's belly, listening to the faint, irregular heartbeat of the baby. When they were through, they'd say thanks or good luck and leave the stethoscope on her belly for the next person. After 8 or 10 of these bellies, it got to be too much for Bonnie. Dr. Bailey again gave her the option of an anesthetic. She said yes. It was a boy. The irregularity had been caused by the umbilical cord wrapped around his arm. Again, we had no boy's name, picked out. If it had been a girl, she would have been Annie Laurie. We settled on Pierre Sarrazol after the European peace activist. I was bragging to the nurse, "He's the spitting image of his father." The nurse said, "What do you care as long as he's healthy?" On returning home after 4 days in the hospital, Bonnie was amazed at the growth of 3-year-old Robin. He had been a little baby before. Now he was huge. Someone had told us to measure Robin's height on his 2nd birthday. It was 3 feet 1 inch. The figure is supposed to double when they are full grown. Robin finally stopped growing at 6'2". Some of the ladies of Christ Church really took to little Pierre at age 3 with his fiery red hair. One day several of them were fawning over him, and it became too much. He spouted, "Oh, bossy cow!" They all laughed and tried to evoke another response, but that was all they could get out of him that day. They loved him to bits and couldn't get enough of him. Bonnie believes that children tend to behave the way they are expected to behave. When little Pierre tended to be somewhat rough with the guinea pigs, she would say, "See how gentle Pierre is with the guinea pigs." And gradually Pierre did become gentle when he picked them up. Another child-rearing principle was not to label a child. "This one tells lies," or "this one always spills her milk," because that's how they'll turn out. Rather, we would say, "He's going through a stage, and he'll be over it soon," and that was usually the way it worked out. And now, in honor of our son Pierre, I'm going to invite our older son Robin Hood to come, and we're going to see what we can do with that old Welsh air, "The Ash Grove." The ash grove, how graceful, how plainly 'tis speaking, the harp through it playing has language for me. Whenever the light through its branches is breaking, a host of kind faces is gazing on me. The friends of my childhood again are before me. Each step wakes a memory as freely I roam. With soft whispers laden, its leaves rustle o'er me. The ash grove alone is my home. My laughter is over, my step loses lightness. Old countryside measures still soft on my ear. I only remember the past and its brightness. The dear ones I mourn for again gather here. From out of the shadows their loving looks greet me, and wistfully searching the leafy green dome, I find other faces fond bending to greet me. The ash grove alone is my home. See you next time.
Thank you.